Yo, what's good, guys? It's your boy Hyga, and take two. Today, we're just gonna make a tier list. I'm gonna do two, one for DPS, one for tank utility, and I want to put this out there that this is all for PVE, strictly PVE. None of these opinions are configured or changed based on the PvP meta. I don't do PvP like that, so please do not think that this is based off of PvP. This is purely PvE. Now, getting right into it, we're gonna start with the tank utility. And I'm going a little bit quick right now because I already did this, but I wanted to make sure that I stated that this was PvE only. All right, number one school at S, the first school at S tier, Death. Really good tanking school. They got V Plague, regular Plague, Faint, Dark Pact. You got Sacrifice. You got the Kiss of Death, Mass Sacrifice from the Spooky Carnival robe. You got Empower, which is really good to use when you're supporting because, for example, someone like the Storm Titan, you can Empower and then you can just bad juju. Same thing with someone like Renegade Druid. Really helpful. Death is just so versatile. And I think that is a really, really good school, for one of the best schools for being like a support tank in that position. The other school that I'm going to have up there in the tank utility is what I feel is like the opposite of Death, Balance. I'm gonna put Balance in the S tier because it's pretty much the same thing that Death has, but like the opposite. So Death focuses on debuffing, right? They have V Plague, regular Plague, bad juju, and Balance has Blade Storm, Balance Blade, Hex. They get the Elemental and Spirit Blades. Obviously, a lot of other people train that, but that is a balanced spell, so you got to give them points for that. They also have Availing Hands, which is maybe you're not going to use it, but like it's bonus points. You know what I'm saying? If you have a Balance on your team, you have so many more buffs that you can put on. Since so many people carry things like Elemental Blade or Spirit Blade, not everyone has Balance Blade, not everyone has Blade Storm, so that really can make a difference in how much damage your DPS is going to be doing. Now, the next school I'm going to put up here is not going to be an S tier school, but I'm going to put Ice. I'm going to put Ice at A tier. I'm going to tell you why. Obviously, fantastic tank, best tanking school in the game. However, that's pretty much it. So this is like a tank utility, right? You have someone who's in the tanking position in the first spot of the battle. They're going to be taking damage while also providing support to the DPS. And Ice, all they can really do is shield, right? They have Tower, they have Legion Shield, and that's really it. Now, that's very good for protecting them, but with the current way that Wizard101 is set up, you don't need that protection as much, especially if you have someone like a Death on your team with bad juju or V Plague. You don't really need the towers, especially because a lot of bosses in the like later game have a lot of pierce, right? Gregor has like 50 pierce, Tennyson has like 30 pierce. There's a bunch of them, right? And so I think it's good for shielding, but I don't think it's good enough to be S tier. Now, Life, I think I'm going to put them at the B tier. I think the tank utility, like support category, it's wrong of me to not include like healing in some way, shape, or form. But if we did a category based on just healing, obviously Life would be at the top, right? There's no real competition compared to a Life Wizard, right? Like their heals are just so insane. So I'll leave them at B just for the sake of their heals being so crazy. But in terms of combat, that's really all they can do with just life spells, right? Like try to think, when I am rating these schools, I try to think of this the spells that school itself has, right? A lot of people train Faint, but that is a death spell. A lot of people train Elemental Blade, Spirit Blade, Elemental Trap, Spirit Trap. Those are balanced spells. So I'm not going to give bonus points to a different school for having those spells. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to give, for example, Ice points for healing if they're just using Pigsy, right? Another school I'm going to put in the B tier is Myth. Myth is a pretty decent tanking school, but the only thing they have really is Shatter. That's really the only utility you're ever going to use out of them. Cool, they have Grendel's Amend, which can heal sometimes, but aside from that, they don't really have much else that's too useful in combat. There are certain bosses where Shatter is really useful. You don't have to worry about Shatter TCs if you just have the spell, but that's pretty much the only utility that they have in the entire school. Storm, I'm going to put in the C tier. No, you know what? I'm going to switch it. I'm going to put Myth and Life in C tier because they don't have too much. And then Storm, I'm going to put in B tier. And I'm going to tell you why. Are you going to have a Storm tank? No. However, Storm does have Cleanse Charm. And I know y'all be using Cleanse Charm probably more than you use Shatter. But not only do they have Cleanse Charm, they also have Enfeeble, Disarm, and Healing Current. There are also certain items in the game that give like double cleanse item cards, and so that school already has way more utility than Myth and Life. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I always say that Storm Jades are kind of slept on. I feel like if you don't have high enough damage to be a Storm hitter, Storm tanks are slept on. Cleanse Charm go crazy, Enfeeble go crazy. We have Fire. Fire is the only school left. Where am I going to put this? If I could, I would put fire in between C and B. Normally, I would put D. However, Backdraft is one of the strongest fire spells in the game. Backdraft can turn one boss from going from 5 rounds to 2 rounds. Bro, it is insane. Imagine if you can use Supercharge on a storm. Bro. That's basically what Backdraft is. Backdraft, there are helmets and boots that give Backdraft. People throw on the fire masteries to use them. If you get a support fire to use potent Backdraft, bro, it is actually insane. Round 2 or 3, you can put like a plus 140 trap on bosses. And that alone, I think, carries the school in terms of like a tank utility side. Because that's like, they don't really have anything else. Steel Charm, all right, cool. You're not gonna like use a free in a tank utility position. But Backdraft is so good. Backdraft is so good. Tennyson, you could do 2-round strats. Devourer, Backdraft is so good for. Satharilith, Backdraft is good for. Like, there's so many bosses that Backdraft is just so nice to have. So that's why I'm gonna put fire in the C tier. Normally, I would put it D tier. I think Backdraft alone can carry it. I think this is how I would set up a tank utility style tier chart. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Don't roast me, we all have opinions, but I would like to hear yours. All right, now the one I'm sure more of you are looking forward to, the DPS, the damage dealers. Let's get this out the way. 2 best hitters in the game, fire and storm. There is not a single thing in this game right now that one of these 2 schools can't defeat. If storm can't do it, fire can. If fire can't do it, storm can. Everything that you want to farm for, Darkmoor, people always use storms. Doesn't matter. Like, you can use both of these schools can defeat anything in the game. It's just so insane. With fire having Backdraft to help bring up its damage if it's needed, you really don't even need it like that. And storm just being as broken as it is, that's all I need to say. Everyone knows these are the 2 best hitting schools in the game. Next, I'm gonna put Myth at the A tier. Honestly, I probably would have put Myth B tier prior to the buffs, but after the buff to Orthrus, Myth now has the strongest AoE, 7-pip AoE in the game. It's on par with damage of almost like glow bugs. It's kind of insane, you know what I'm saying? But Orthrus is so good after the buff. Earthquake also got a buff. Mystic got a change, little rework. I think that's good as well. There's a lot of bosses that now you can use Mystic as a hitter for. Imagine farming things like Mirror Lake with Mystic Colossus. There's the dude who puts the 90 shield. Doesn't matter. I have Mystic Colossus. The bosses, the 3rd set of bosses in Mirror Lake, they're ice. They put on tower shields. Doesn't matter. I have Mystic. Anyone that puts a shield on, I have Mystic. If they don't put a shield on, I have Orthrus. Orthrus is so strong. It's actually insane. Aside from fire and storm, Myth is the next highest school in terms of raw damage with a max crit build. Storm and fire can both get 175 with max crit. Technically, fire can get 176, but you drop a lot of other stats, and Myth can get 160. And then we got the Primeval Horde pack coming out. Potential changes to those builds we will see though. All of these schools are pretty neat in the hitting department, all of them ranging between 140 and 144 damage with a max crit build. So I guess I have to look at just the spells alone. I'm gonna put Death at B tier, and I'm gonna tell you why. Scarecrow is amazing. Deer Knight, Ship of Fools, strongest 4-pip AoE in the game at the moment, if you have it spell-lamented, like if you have it upgraded. Scarecrow, really good. Call of Cthulhu, good. But the sole fact that Death can only get like 144 damage with max crit, if you have the old Sinbad wand with death damage, you can get like 148, which would maybe send it to like a B+ area, which sucks because the spells are good, but because of the fact that it just can't get that much damage with max crit, I'm gonna leave it in a B tier. I think I'm gonna put Balance and Life in the same boat. They both have around the same damage as far as max crit builds, and their spells do around the same damage. Power Nova got a really nice buff, but you're just like never really gonna use them as a hitter unless it's a specific boss. And now the reason I didn't put them in D tier is because of this next fact. There are some bosses in the game that resist all schools except for like Life and Balance. Devourer is an example. I believe Satharilith is another one. King Detritus, life boosts on him. There's a lot of bosses that have like little niches here and there where balance and life will boost on them. I think Ice could be a B tier school for hitting. However, Power Nova got buffed, Fire Dragon got buffed, Orthrus got buffed, Scarecrow got buffed, Forest Lord got buffed. The only level 48 7-pip spell that didn't get changed was Storm Lord, and Frost Giant got nerfed. I don't know why. I mean, what's the cannon one? Snowball Barrage. that got a little bit of a buff. But now with the new shadow pip rating, it's kind of harder to finesse a shadow pip early, so I don't know how helpful that would be. So I think I'm just put it in the same department as life and balance. Can't really get that high of stats, around 143 damage with a max crit build. I've used ice with like full damage builds, and you can do some nice damage, but I don't think it's nice enough to make it a higher tier. So I think this is about right. I think this would make sense for the setup. I don't think there's any school in this game that's like absolute dog. You would never, ever, ever use it in one of these two situations, right? Tank utility or DPS, which is why I didn't put anything in the D tier, because I don't feel like there's anything that's like really, really that trash. If the other 4 schools aren't there, an ice will be hitting, but it can be interchangeable with the balance. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like anything that an ice can hit for, a balance or life can hit for, you know? If you have someone using Frost Giant, you can have someone using Forest Lord or Power Nova. Power Nova is really strong right now. 665? That's literally almost the same as Orthrus, and balance can get like 20% less damage than Myth can, so I don't even know why it's that strong. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me, but you know, that's how the game is right now. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm interested to see what you guys think about my decisions. I don't want you guys to come at me crazy. Please don't think that because I put your school in a certain place or anything, don't get your feelings hurt. Instead, let us discuss and share our opinions. We'll see you guys later. Don't forget to subscribe for more.